Fed Chairman Jerome Powell and President Biden both feel confident about the job economy and unemployment numbers staying stable, but in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I think unemployment is about to go up.
Let's get back to work.
Get back to work.
America is back to work.
The first reason being the real estate industry. You don't have to be paying attention much to notice that home prices have gone up and sales have been going crazy. But now that we're at June 2022, things are slowing down a bit. And guess what that's going to do? It's going to increase the number of people unemployed in the real estate industry. Obviously, it's going to affect your local realtor, but there is a bigger problem brewing. This past 2 years, there have been more new home building permits than there have been for a long time. And we have that are about to be finished or to be finished soon. And not all of those are sold. There's a big chance that we're going to have a lot more unsold homes and a lot less of a need for new homes to be built. Meaning that these companies building the new homes are likely going to lay off or go out of business. And it's not just realtors that help people buy a home, it's also loan processors, underwriters, loan officers, a lot of other people that are involved with getting the consumer a mortgage loan. And all of those people are soon to be unemployed. Well, that's not true, not all of them, but a lot of these companies don't have any other business but mortgage, so that when mortgages are not in so much demand, then their jobs are at risk. I have another video about this I recently posted about why I think it's the real estate lending industry that will crash unemployment first, not the tech market. So check that out in another one of my videos. Hopefully it's linked above, but I think it's going to be the real estate industry that will cause unemployment to go up first, but there is 4 other aspects that are going to increase unemployment. The second one being the financial industry. Again, you don't have to be paying attention much to know that stocks and crypto have crashed. Well, guess what? Those are in the financial industry. In my layoff video, I mentioned how many financial companies are laying off, and it's obvious. If stocks are going to go down after a historic bull run, then the people that have been making money off of these stocks are going to make less money. And that's the same thing with crypto. There are a ton of altcoins that are no longer going to have value, as well as trading platforms that just won't make it in the next coming weeks, months, or years. That aspect in itself is a huge aspect that will affect unemployment, but I also think that retirees have their retirement accounts at risk, or they have recently gone down in value significantly. So much so that these retirees might be joining the job market again. Well, if retirees join the market, that means the people just below them are going to take a longer time to grow the career, and everyone down the ladder gets held back. And that probably means someone at the bottom of the ladder is going to be unemployed for a long period of time. And finally, in the financial industry, like I had mentioned before, a lot of the mortgages from 2020 to today have been written under mortgage companies. So previously in the past, most mortgages were handled by banks like Bank of America or PNC Bank, but now it's handled by companies like AmeriMortgage or Mr. Cooper. These are companies that get all of their business from mortgages. So yeah, business has been really good for them the past 2 years, but as soon as the demand for mortgages falls, which it has fallen, then these companies are at risk. Sure, they can lay off employees, but that's not going to reduce all of their overhead. If there is not enough business coming in to keep the business running, then they have to sell the business or declare bankruptcy. So there's a high chance a lot of these mortgage companies in the next few years are going to go out of business. And I heard Jerome Powell say himself that he does not plan on buying mortgage-backed securities. So we have a problem coming up of some mortgage companies that are going to go out of business and no one wants to buy their debt. But that is just the second reason I think that unemployment is going to increase. The third reason, like I've been talking about, is tech and the unemployment in tech. I talked about this in another video, but the startup bubble in tech is bursting. A lot of these companies are having to lay off, reduce their hiring size, or just pull back in general, find ways to be profitable, or go out of business. In the past, it was much more a candidate's market in tech than an employer's market because there was such a lack of mid to senior level candidates, but if only a certain number of people in the industry get laid off, well, that demand kind of goes away. I'll do another update to my tech bubble burst video. I am seeing people become more hesitant to change jobs and stick with their companies, but generally speaking, when people get laid off in tech, that increases the competition and causes more people in tech to stay unemployed longer. This is an industry that hasn't experienced very many periods of mass unemployment, and it's been a while since that happened, so it shouldn't be too surprising, but obviously it's going to be a big factor in unemployment. Tech is the highest paid industry that we have in the American economy. So as soon as that falls down just a little, everyone is going to feel it just a little bit. The fourth reason I think unemployment is going to increase is the travel industry. Starting off with airlines, I'm already hearing in the news that certain airlines are cutting off travel to areas in New York State, as well as a pilot shortage. I had no clue it costs thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the pilot training to become a commercial pilot, and you can no longer fly after the age of 65. So a lot of these pilots can finally enter the industry in their mid-30s and have only a 30 to 20 something year career. With the high cost of becoming a pilot, it is no surprise that there are not enough pilots needed in the industry. Plus the increased cost of gas for flying airplanes, well, no surprise that airline tickets are going up. So if airline tickets go up, people are probably going to buy them less. And there are a ton of people employed in the airline industry. People handling the security, working at the cafe by the gate, the people signaling the airplanes in when they land. A lot of people involved there. So as soon as that dips, well, you have a lot more people unemployed, and some of these people are skilled mostly in the specific industry that do not have very many transferable skills. But the airline industry is not the only A that is going to be hurting because of the lack of travel. Airbnb. The company recently changed its marketing direction, trying to target the niche, special, unique stay. But also, many cities in America are making short-term rentals illegal or highly restricted. And to say it simply, Americans are traveling less, so there is less of a need for Airbnb. But you do have a lot of people that are heavily leveraged in real estate investing. Perhaps this should have gone in the first section, but there are also people cleaning these Airbnbs, managing them for other people. Many towns that have too many Airbnbs, well, they have driven a lot of the renters out of the city so that as soon as they need to turn their short-term rental into a long-term rental, but the people who would have rented it a year ago have now left town for somewhere more affordable. So it's going to set up a bit of a problem if you have people who are depending on their real estate investment, specifically through Airbnb listings. Suddenly, they don't have as much business needed to keep them unemployed, and they have to go back on the job market to find a job, joining the increased competition from the three other aspects I had mentioned. And in towns that have a lot of tourism, they have a lot of businesses that have closed down because of COVID, even a year after COVID, and still have not opened up back again. You can walk into the downtown area of a lot of towns in America and see a ton of closed businesses. Well, some of those businesses were open before quarantine happened, and we are still dealing with the fallback of that economic meltdown. Stopping the entire world for a COVID quarantine does a lot of impact on the economy. Some of these tourist towns have seen home growth at 25% a year, but they have not seen that business growth or job growth to balance it. So there is an economic wave headed towards them that will definitely impact the number of people filing for unemployment insurance or simply leaving those areas for places that have more job opportunities, creating long-term unemployment in some of these tourist towns. But the fifth and final reason why I think that unemployment is about to rise, why Biden and Powell should stop bragging, is the change in the hiring culture that has happened because of COVID. An entire generation was put on remote for quarantine. That was either for school or for work. And it created a long-term remote working culture because, well, we still had to stay at home. Yeah, remote work existed before, but thanks to COVID, everyone was able to get remote. And it has set a high expectation for the candidate on the job market. I would know, I'm a recruiter and I hear about it all the time. More and more people want remote than ever. And now we are hearing in the news that companies like Tesla are saying no to remote work. Well, if there's going to be tech layoffs, then they can say that kind of thing, which is going to flip the script for a lot of people who possibly went remote, bought a town more in a rural place, and are facing the possibility of having to relocate back for a job or be unemployed and look for a job that will give them a remote opportunity. There definitely is a war brewing between the person who wants to work remote and the company that wants them in office, and who's going to win? Well, if these 4 other factors play out like I think they will, then it'll be the employer that wins, and a lot more people will have to move back on site or just be hybrid closer to the inner cities, which that would really shake things up. But I don't think that's the only thing changing in the hiring market. You may have heard online about rescinded job offers, and this is a brand new revolution in 2022. Now, rescinded job offers happen in every industry. The employer is entitled to rescind that job offer as late as the first day of the job. That is just part of the employment market in America and American employment laws. But more than ever, companies are rescinding their job offers because it's the end of June 2020. A lot of companies are getting profit reports before the end of the quarter, giving them a signal, a sign that now is the time to not hire, especially people who may be underqualified or overpaid. If you accepted a job offer declining 3 other ones and suddenly it was rescinded, the chance of you being able to go back to those other opportunities is 50% or less. Most companies are moving quickly, and a lot of companies remember being rejected, find it offensive, and don't want to move forward with you again in the future. But that is not the only factor in the employment industry. I think that the overwork culture that has crossed the globe from Japan to the US is going to affect hiring in the future. Overwork, which is a cultural phrase referring to the hustle culture, the overwork culture in countries like Japan and the US, where people work really hard for low wages and low benefits. The US is an at-will hiring country as well, which is foreign to a lot of other places that have a lot more employee protection. And this has resulted in a generation of people that want higher pay for the same amount of work that they have been doing, or simply don't want to work at all and game the system as much as they can. And the best way to game the system is to stay unemployed and stay on unemployment. But another way is to ask for a salary that is higher than you deserve. Most companies don't want to spend all their time hiring, so once they find someone that's qualified, well, they're gonna bend a little bit when it comes to salary just to get that person on board. But if the employment market just changes a little bit, that's going to take a lot of leverage away from the employer to negotiate higher salaries, and there is bound to be a conflict. There's a high chance that we will have a lot of unemployed people and still have a lot of job openings at companies that don't necessarily pay well or don't offer good benefits, creating an environment that looks like people don't want to work, like we saw before. But I think this might play out again simply because there is a higher demand for lower paid jobs in the US right now than higher paid, and there is a high chance that higher paid employees are going to find themselves unemployed and looking for work, but they won't want to take those lower paid jobs. And this is a global culture. This is not in the US. Everyone across the globe wants to get paid fairly for the work that they've been doing and be able to make enough money to sustain the cost of living. So this is not a cultural aspect that will leave anytime soon, and is not something exclusive to the US. But those are the 5 reasons that I think Biden and Powell should stop bragging about unemployment numbers, because they are likely to go up. I want to know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about each one of those points, especially if you have any feedback on the rescinded job offers. You know, I like to hear some horror stories. Please subscribe if you're interested in hearing about hiring news, tech news, or anything that's coming, or any changes coming up in the economy involving, or any changes in the economy involving unemployment, or any changes in the economy involving employment. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Talk to you later.